Welcome back, everybody, to the Average Fan Podcast. My name is Michael. I'm here with my lovely co-host Ben.
This is number six, everyone. This is very exciting stuff.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. Who knew that we could get 6 weeks out? Well, seven technically. Real fans know. Um, it's been an exciting week. I've had a very beautiful week as a football fan.
Yeah, not me. It's
Not.
been a rough one.
Oh yeah, but well, I mean, hey, we can absolutely just go slide into it now.
Yeah, I will say this is the first time that Michael and I are recording where it's not 10 at night. So we'll
Yeah.
see how the energy level. I think I just had breakfast, so maybe I seem more chipper than usual. I've been up since 8,
Yeah,
believe it
I
or not.
definitely have not. Today's a good off day for me.
So, we're gonna getting up bright and early to record for everyone.
What did you have for breakfast today?
I had 4 hard-boiled eggs.
Dude, listen. Whenever I used to go to school and there'd be like a test or like an exam or for us, I live in the good old GA. We had something that called a CRCT back in the day, and it was like your big test at the end of the year. And my mom would always cook me eggs because it was brain food. So there's nothing wrong with some eggs.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just lazy, so
Hey man, I respect it. I had to go get my key fob battery replaced, so I stopped by QT, get me my energy drink, and
bro, an energy drink before noon is crazy.
that's when you drink them, bro. So you don't.
Bro,
So
you're
you.
you're literally trying to get an aneurysm. Your brain is about to
No, I'm just
your
addicted to
blood vessel.
caffeine.
Yeah,
Listen
that
to
too,
this sip,
bro.
bro.
Chill out.
Mm. Listen, nothing's
Anyways,
like nothing's like a energy drink in the morning. I think you're the outlier here.
what's your I don't have caffeine ever. I don't think I've had caffeine in like over a year.
That's crazy. Well, then power to you. I want to make it known that I won our vocab bet the last week.
No one said anything. Okay, you're
No, you got
biased.
to no, you got to check the comments, bro. They're talking about I've never heard of hellacious to my vocab now. So we be seeing that. I see you. Thank you for
Mm.
siding with the side of reason, logic, scientific method. Everything. Shout out. Um,
Whatever.
well, anyways, we'll just go ahead and start moving on to the recap for the week. Um, like I said, it was an exciting week. Even surprisingly, this low-scoring affair in London between the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets had some interesting stuff. I understand it's probably like 13-11 or whatever, but the Broncos had 9 sacks on Justin Fields. 9 sacks, which is an insane number.
Are we forgetting about the Thursday night game?
Oh man, I kind of did forget about the third.
That's fine. We'll talk. We'll do the Broncos Jets first, and then we'll go to Thursday night. But no, I mean it is crazy that they got 9 sacks on Justin Fields. Just looking at the stats, that he got 45 yards total is like, I mean that's just like pathetic.
It is pathetic. And I said this last week. If the Jets could score 20, they'd be in this affair. They scored 11, really ugly. They were not in the fight.
they they almost had a game-winning safety in the third quarter. If they had just stopped the Broncos, they could have won. Which, I mean, if that isn't Jets football, I don't know what else is.
Yeah, R.I.P. Jets. I really think. I mean, your season's cooked. You're 0-6. Right now, you're fighting not to end 0-17 or 0-18. Yeah, 0-17. Yeah, so it's like I'm sure you're pretty much. No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm also rooting for an 0-17 season because those things are funny. But I'm sure you would love not to be the most like one of the more
Yeah,
recent ones.
no hate to the Jets, but I do agree. 0-17 is just hilarious. Objectively, it's just as funny as it possibly can be. So I hope that it doesn't happen for you, but I want it to.
Also, Brees Hall posted on his Instagram #free20. So maybe they got him locked up. Um, he's never been a big producer, even though he's always had a lot of fantasy points. So maybe they'll free him. Garrett Wilson's nothing. Um, hey, Justin Fields hasn't thrown an interception all year, so there's that. But he's also thrown less than 800 yards on the season, which is not good.
No.
So
But speaking of a funny game, I watched the Eagles and the Giants, and I found this game very entertaining.
everybody did. I mean, first of all, nobody expected a good, you know, thrashing, especially. Well, they did expect it just for the Giants, but the Eagles ended up giving it to him. Cam Scatterbo with 3 touchdowns. Who knew he was like that?
I have him in on fantasy.
Mm,
I saw some interview clip where he was like, "Oh, I'll take myself out of the game if I ever get a head injury." And I just feel like watching him, it's like every play is a head injury. You probably shouldn't be in at all.
yeah, yeah. He has like a pregame ritual where, at least it came back from when he was in Arizona State, where he just kind of headbutts the wall generally for like like a minute straight. It's like, okay, buddy.
Dude.
But this loss is entirely on this just horrid offense. I mean, which is like a crazy thing to say. You have Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown, and Devonta Smith, and you can't do anything on offense. What are we talking about? I mean, all of these touchdowns that they have, which is just two, happens in the first and second quarter. If you forget, there's 4 total quarters. Um, it's just an embarrassing showout for them. They had 2 turnovers, um, one from the hands of Jalen Hurts, and it's just kind of sad to see these guys are kind of like they're not doing anything to fix it. I feel like it's gonna end up crushing them, and they're just gonna end up like dropping like that one time the Steelers went like 11-0 and then lost like 6 straight.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what happened a couple of years ago. Is the Eagles were 10-1 and then ended 12-5 and got for a first round exit. I just think, you know, I don't think Nick Sirianni is necessarily a bad coach, but when we get talking about other teams, it's like Nick Sirianni, yes, he just won a Super Bowl, but then he loses his OC and now they're terrible again. I just feel like, is he really creating the identity or is the coordinator doing that? And I think that's an issue for a team like the Eagles.
That's entirely fair. They didn't change nothing up. I mean, this is essentially the same team as last year. Except I think the defense is a little worse, just because I mean, for one, they're a bit injured, and two, I think they let some people go, in free agency. So we'll see how they continue on through the season. But I mean, it's really not looking good from an offensive standpoint.
On to the next game. We want to talk about bad offense. Let's get into a classic AFC North rivalry. I think this is
Yeah.
what 20. I saw it was some ridiculous number, at least 10, if might have even been 15 or 20 straight losses in Pittsburgh for the Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for the first half they had it at 3-9, and then it was 3-6 or 6-16. Like, this entire game was winnable if the Browns didn't have the most dog shit offense in the entire league.
Yeah, to say the least. And it's like, I mean, you have a real workhorse running back, Quinshawn Judkins, who only has 12 carries, and then you're letting Dylan Gabriel, your rookie quarterback, with his second start, throw for 52 times. Kevin Stefanski, or however you say his last name, Stefanski, he's just, I don't know what happened to him, but I mean, he's just off his rocker. There's also Jalen Ramsey leads the game in sacks with 2. You have TJ Watt and Myles Garrett on the field. That's just funny. So I don't necessarily want to shit on Dylan Gabriel here. I don't think he's the best, but they need to start running a bit more, especially when you have like a loaded running back room.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really blame him because his first 2 starts have been against the Brian Flores defense and the Steelers defense, which still, you can't expect a rookie to do well. But again, yeah, it just seems like Kevin Stefanski wants to get fired now, which, I mean, I don't blame him. I would kind of want to get out of Cleveland as well. But it's not an impressive showing. But I mean, I don't have much else to show or to say. I'm not surprised by this result.
Neither am I. Steelers kept on doing what they do, though 23 points against the Browns is pretty good. even though it was kind of ugly, like you said in the first half. Just over time, they got it away. That's really all there is to say. We'll go move on to this, I guess, thriller essentially, between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. 29-27. Um, Seems like a last minute field goal by Cameron Dicker. I mean, he had all the points. He had one, two, three, four, five field goals. Insane.
Wow. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on this game. I think I was at the gym when this was happening, but seeing like the Dolphins were doing well, and I didn't know any of the stats. I was just looking purely at the score. I was like, oh, like the Chargers must not be playing well. But when I'm like looking at the stats, honestly, I don't even think like the Chargers played well. I think it must have been like Devon Achane who kind of carried this team because Tua had 3 picks. Like I
It was one of the picks was literally in their first drive.
they could probably bench Tua and they just tell him, "Oh, it's the defense on the field and it's just the offense," and he would believe them and he would just forget. So I think that the humane thing is to just put him on the sideline and let
You
him
just
think
gotta,
he's important.
yeah, you just gotta put them down at this point. I mean, it seems like all the games that they're in is, I mean, you lose via Tua interception somehow. Um, and you have him calling out his team for not showing up to player only meetings. And
That
even
was funny.
the
Yeah.
players themselves are overly critical over these meetings. Yeah, and you have JJ Watt saying like, if you're at a stage where you need player only meetings, you're pretty much cooked. Like your season is probably done. And they're sitting at 1-5. You know, if Mike McDaniel's can't get people to start buying into the team, as much as we might like him or he might be funny or whatever, a cool vibe, offensive guru or whatever, you can't corral your team. It's just you just need a culture change. So we might be seeing him leave the team very soon. There's also a lot of rumors for a lot of pieces that they're going to trade.
I'm surprised he wasn't fired already, if I'm being honest. So
Yeah,
I personally I've never really thought he was a very good coach. I would have fired him last year, but I'm not the owner of the Dolphins. I don't make these decisions, and I also don't really care about the Dolphins. So their only win is against the worst team in the league in the Jets, and even that game was close for most of it. Which to me, it's like, oh, still trash. I'm just not the absolute worst. And at this point, it's like, I don't know. You need to get a better draft pick, like just to rebuild this team. So I'm just kind of, it's just one of those teams where even the Panthers last year where they were still bad. It's like, oh, they have fight in them, but I just feel like the Dolphins have literally, they have no life. They're just a completely lifeless team.
yeah, especially with New England and Buffalo both at 4-2. This also plays in New York. Miami, New York are probably cooked on the season just because you're gonna have to be fighting back so hard, and
Yeah,
the team's not bought in. There's a good chance that you blow the team up to focus on a rebuild, try to get a good pick. So we'll. So I mean, I don't know. I think Loki might need to trade out to and kind of just fully reset on a culture,
get
which
Kirk
is I'm sure.
Cousins.
I'd love to trade away Kirk Cousins for sure, but I think the Falcons' asking price for Kirk Cousins is like insanely high. Which is like I have to say I don't really care. We're already paying him $40 million, so if you want him, you have to get him from us for a good price. What? So yeah, the Dolphins are cooked. It's not a good bounce back game from the Chargers since they did only win by 2. So we still have that question mark for the Chargers, even though they did play sort of well. It looks like they were in it. The Dolphins were in it pretty much the whole game, and then the Chargers rallied up, which is even worse, especially if we're shitting on the Dolphins. So maybe the Chargers aren't who we thought they were through the first 4 weeks. They're also taking a dip.
Well, they're very injured too. So
Yeah, who knows what team is good this year? You know what I mean?
yeah, I
Like,
mean,
there's no
yeah,
elite defined team.
Well, yeah, and we're gonna keep getting through that, but like we were just talking about New England, but I mean this it's like the Saints I feel like every week have lost by one score or less. Or within at least 10 points, which are not New England that I don't know if I said the Saints or not. I guess I
You
might
did say the Saints.
okay, good. I might be like more out of it now at noon than
Hey,
I
maybe you
am
need
at
an energy.
10:30 p.m. But yeah, maybe I need an energy drink.
You need some energy, bruh.
Drake May is making a very convincing case for being a very good pick by the Patriots. I know some people are frustrated. Like, I'm happy for him. I personally wasn't really watching the NFL when the Patriots were at their height. So I don't really hate them as much as some other people do. So, like, I like New England. And I know a lot of people are upset, are just frustrated that they have Tom Brady, and then Mac Jones had a good season, and then maybe they had like quarterback limbo for a couple seasons, but now they have Mike Vrabel and then second year Drake May, who's putting up very good numbers.
Yeah, he's playing extremely well. Just to give you some perspective on what the Patriots were like back with Tom Brady, just imagine how the Chiefs are right now, right? No wide receiver room, and you have a mid running back. But then imagine like the offense is as if you had three Calvin Johnsons. Like it didn't matter who the players were. Tom Brady gets them the ball, and that's kind of like when you talk to people and they're like, the old era is dead. It's kind of like, teams are good if you have a good piece in every position. But back then, I mean, you have one good quarterback, he makes the other positions good, and that's kind of what Drake May is doing right now. Even what's his first name? Keishon Booty. He's playing insanely well. I mean, I don't think this is his first week with 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's going like nuts, and it's on the hands of Drake May. They don't have a running back right now, as you see, and Drake May is leading the team in rushes with 28. But I mean, he's putting the team on his back, and he's throwing for hella touchdowns.
Yeah, and
And that's
so
just kind of what it is.
yeah, and it just seems he's playing very efficiently as well. And I guess yeah, I've seen some of those like highlights from the evil Empire Patriots, but it is crazy to think about how they went three Super Bowls in the 2000s and kind of went like a decade of being, I wouldn't say mid, but like perennial contenders that couldn't get back. And then like 40-year-old Tom Brady suddenly decides, "Oh, I still have 4 more Super Bowls in me," and then just wins.
Yeah, Tom Brady was a different breed. Nothing's like getting dotted up by Danny Amendola, um, who like pretty much after Tom Brady left the Patriots, Danny Amendola kind of disappeared from the league because that's just what Tom Brady does. He just elevates players to be something that they're like. He raises everybody else's potential. And one thing he also does is he takes pay cuts so the team can pay other players so he can build a real team around himself.
Mm-hmm.
So unless like players start doing stuff like that, you're not really serious about winning. But at the same time, players think they need to get paid. I'm not mad at them for doing that, but if you're really serious about winning, you'll take a pay cut and let the other team pay, or let the team pay for like other players. Um, I don't think players nowadays will do stuff like that, which is tough. But the Patriots are on the rise. It's like it's 2012 again.
I know it's crazy to me, and I kind of like I felt bad for the Patriots for a long time, which again I know a lot of people don't agree with. So I, but yeah. Anyways, just a good game. But then the next one was also weird in its own way, where the Ravens defense. So this is Rams Ravens. The Rams only scored 17 points, and the Ravens have like the worst defense in the league. But yeah, but I was just gonna say, but yet the Ravens actually kept it close until the third quarter. And if Derrick Henry or if they had Lamar Jackson, they could have won this game. So again, it's just really confusing on who's good because it's like the Rams are supposed to have like an insanely good offense and they didn't really do anything. So I just, yeah, I don't know. like again, I just really don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This definitely would have been a Rams win if they had Lamar Jackson, but I mean, you just don't, so you have to make do. It's kind of interesting to see, the Rams who have been pretty tout offensively just kind of sink into this game, only scoring 17. Real, I guess I can't even call it a defensive game, even though I have 3 points. But maybe you can. We obviously didn't watch it, but I want to shout out Nate Landman, linebacker for Los Angeles, used to be a Falcons player. I mean, it's having a career year. I love to see that for him. Um, Rams win in a non-surprising fashion.
Yeah, not surprising, not very impressive, but still was not a very close game.
Yeah. So this next game, Colts versus Cardinals. This one was a bit closer than people thought, I bet, especially without Kyler Murray. Um, I don't know what happened to him. To be honest with you, I actually did think I thought he played. That shows you how much attention I pay to the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett throws for 320.
Is he better? Is he better than Kyler Murray?
I mean, honestly, Jacoby Brissett might deserve a starting role, um, especially in this state of the NFL. Uh, and I mean, as you can see, I mean, they're going toe to toe with right now the top three team in the league, with the Colts, and doesn't look like Jacoby Brissett was leading them astray. He has an interception, but I mean that's in the second quarter. So I mean, otherwise it's a pretty clean game. Um, you'd wish they ran a bit more, but I mean everybody knows that they're depleted. The Colts are just doing what Colts do on the back of Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones is kind of in the same boat as Jacoby Brissett, except a little less yards. But the Colts end up coming out.
Yeah, I mean this was a surprisingly good game. I think that Jonathan Taylor is definitely in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, Daniel Jones is playing well, and I think he deserves flowers for being good. The Colts are 5-1. They're one of the best teams in the league right now, but that's because they have a very good offensive line, and Jonathan Taylor is putting up like 100 yards a week.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson are probably the only two clear contenders for Offensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are playing on a stupid level, literally carrying the team. And then in this game, you also have probably the Rookie of the Year for the AFC, Tyler Warren, who's averaging like 40 yards a game. And you have the tight end pick beforehand, Loveland for the Chicago Bears,
who's doing nothing.
He doesn't even have like 40 yards on the season.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who dislikes University of Michigan, it makes me very happy. I think it's funny to see it was like, I don't know, Sam Laporta got drafted, and then the next year it was Brock Bowers, who had like a record-breaking season, and then this year might be Tyler Warren, 3 years in a row. I just truly feel like we're on the new era of what tight ends are capable of in the league, which is really cool. I think it's fun to be here for that.
Absolutely, without a doubt. But yeah, it's a nice and simple Indiana win. So those guys are super surprising. I mean, I don't think there's not a soul in the league, even Colts fans, who thought they would be sitting at 5-1 right now.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
And I'll tell you what, I love it when the league gets shook up like this.
Yeah. Again, like, or we could do probably something around mid-season where we can do like updated playoff predictions and stuff. And I feel like we're gonna be proven very wrong from our initial takes on this season. But for the next game, another one that was surprisingly good between two good teams was Seattle at Jacksonville. And again, Jacksonville was kind of in this game until the very end. Just Seattle's defense outplayed them. And Trevor Lawrence had probably his best game I've seen in a long time. No turnovers, 2 touchdowns. Sam Darnold again, also playing very well. So it's like, is this a potential? This It's crazy to be saying for a lot of these games this could be a potential Super Bowl matchup for
Yeah,
AFC
yeah,
versus NFC teams. Like for a lot of them, it's like this could be a potential rematch in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, dude. This is that's very true. Which is so funny to think of the Jaguars making the Super Bowl. But it's they have the Seahawks have such a interesting offense. Sam Darnold just has to keep giving it to JSN. He's carrying my fantasy team right now. I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's playing so well. That 61-yard touchdown pass was like a blessing from God. The Jaguars were, like you said, able to stay in it for a while. They ended up doing something stupid and going for a 2-point
yeah,
conversion
that
instead of
I
just
didn't
kicking a
understand
field
doing
goal.
that, especially with like their offense not playing very well.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Um, it's Liam Cohen, new head coach. That's just a little inexperience right there. But something I want to focus on is for Seattle, they had 7 sacks. So, that's probably the difference maker here is that Seattle defense was actually able to get after Trevor Lawrence, and
Yeah.
the Lion or the Jaguars weren't able to do that. Their pass rush isn't the craziest. They do have some good pieces down there, but it's their secondary that's really been carrying them. So we need to see an improvement in the pass rush if the Jags want to be taken super seriously. Either way, it's not the craziest loss for them. I mean, you only lost by 8. Not the worst, especially on a team playing well like the Seahawks. Like you said, it was a good game.
It was a very good game. Another one, I mean, these are just back to back. I think this was a very good week for games. The next one, which is, I want to know what you feel about the Panthers, but Cowboys Panthers, like, Rico Dowdle had another, like, 200 rushing yard game. He led in both receiving and rushing yards. And Bryce Young is, like, he's not playing particularly well. I don't know how on earth. I mean, the Panthers are at 500 for the first time I can remember since I started watching like 4 or 5 years ago. And the Cowboys, again, like Dak is playing very well, but they just cannot stop like the Bryce Young led Panthers. I don't know. That just feels ridiculous to me.
If you would have talked to a Panthers fan about all their wins, you would think that Bryce Young is God. They keep giving it to Bryce Young when it's really just like, I mean, I took the Panthers last week, by the way, so this was a great prediction for me. It's just Dallas's defense is just so abysmally bad, and good on Carolina's defense for not letting Dallas get carried away. J.C. Horn wasn't really guarding George Pickens. He was guarding the rest of the defense, which you keep feeding it to George Pickens, he's gonna give you 170 and a touchdown, but outside of that, you're not really doing much. You can see they didn't let Jamal Williams or Javonte Williams really do much in terms of rushing, so they had to go into the pass game, and they fed George Pickens. I mean, at least half of Dak Prescott's yards, but they have a loss to show for it. So it was a great showing for Carolina. Bryce Young, like I said, he's not really doing a ton. He's just benefiting off the back of Rico Dowdle, who this was a revenge game for him because he got dropped. He rushed for 1,000 yards for Dallas last year, and then they didn't re-sign him.
Which is
He had
crazy,
30
yeah.
yeah, super crazy. I mean, he has 30 carries here, gives you 183 yards, and it was because Chuba Hubbard is injured and he's about to come back next week, and they said that they're just going to give Chuba Hubbard all the carries again. So the Panthers are in a weird state where, I mean, you have this running back who's giving you 200-yard scrimmage games back to back, and you're just gonna
You're gonna go back,
throw him back
yeah.
on the bench. It
Like
makes no
no
sense.
hate, yeah, no hate to Chuba Hubbard. Like I think why don't they just try to do it like the Lions are doing, where they just are like, we have two really good backs. Why don't we split it? Try to do it like 50-50.
I mean, and you also have the Falcons who are doing it with Bijan and Tyler Algier. I don't know why they don't do it. You can share yards. Chuba Hubbard is good and all, but he's not giving you 200 scrimmage yards back to back. And he's just not doing that. Rico Dowdle, obviously he is, and you can see that he's able to take this workforce. So it's just dumb if they only give one running back all the carries and then the other one gets some. Especially with how efficient Rico Dowdle has been. Um, we'll see. I hope Carolina makes that mistake, but They seem to be a smart team. Like you said, 500 for the first time in a while. Um, the NFC South is not even close to being the worst team in the league anymore, which is so
Which
nice to
is,
see.
yeah, it's a competitive league. I've never seen that, so that's good stuff. Um, this is probably the next game. Uh, it's probably the
I
least
bet on this game.
interesting. You bet on it,
Yeah, I didn't
bro.
get it, but I didn't get it because they didn't give Jacoby Myers a touchdown.
Well,
It's just messed up.
I just feel like this is probably the least interesting game of the week because two one-win teams going into this. I think everyone kind of knew the Raiders were going to win, and I was like, they're going to win, but it's not going to be like impressive. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Gino and Cam Ward went blow for blow on who could be the shittier quarterback. But yeah, real mid off. I mean, it seems to me like Ashton Genty was kind of the deciding factor here, just having more yards on the ground. Nothing is surprising about this game. The Titans suck. They fired Brian Callahan, and that's about it.
They did fire Brian Callahan. It's best to just rip the Band-Aid off, instead of just letting him suffer, make your players suffer for the whole season. So good on them to just get him out. If you're a Raiders fan, I wouldn't read into this too heavy. You did what was expected of you. There's nothing to really be excited about. Max Crosby got 2 sacks. That's probably the only stat that really stands out. Um, and somehow you didn't lose the turnover battle. So those are two things to be happy about. But the fact that those are a shock to most people, that's something to be sad about. So you just got to improve within the next week.
Yeah.
Moving on to this next game. This one was actually a pretty good game
Yep.
for most of it.
R.I.P. Fred Warner though.
Yeah, Fred Warner took a big hit. We'll get into that a bit later, since it'll pertain to our predictions. This is a great game for system quarterbacks. Mike Jones 347. You see those 2 picks, but in general he played pretty well. It's just those injuries are finally catching up to you when you're in Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield's playing at an MVP level, might I say. Um, it's
Sorry,
just tough to
sorry,
see.
Browns fans. That's probably hard to hear.
Yeah, it's probably tough to hear, but it's the truth. And honestly, this is cementing Tampa Bay is probably, unfortunately, the best team in the NFC at the moment. The next best team, record-wise at least, is the Green Bay Packers. I mean, they're 3-1-1. Um, so we'll see how it turns out. Tampa Bay is still winning like one-score games. I know this one wasn't a one-score game, but uh, you know, if it only takes injuries to make it so you can win with the gap, doesn't look very good for you. But this is still a really tough team to beat, and they're really, Mbuka is playing super well as well, even though he did have to sit the second half out with the hamstring injury.
Yeah, I mean, this is again the Bucks are also a team that keeps getting injured. Mike Evans out, Godwin's out, and then Abuka might be out as well. So that's no diss to the Bucks because I do, like you were saying, I think they are probably the best team in the NFC right now. And Baker Mayfield, I hope he wins MVP. I'd be very happy if he did. That'd be fantastic for him. But it's just I feel like a lot of teams, especially this season, like I mean, Fred Warner going down, I feel like might have been like the last piece that they had left, at least on the defense. And like, yeah, I guess Brock Purdy will come back, and you have Christian McCaffrey, and hopefully like Brandon Ayuk can come back. But you have Bosa out, you have Fred Warner out. I just I don't see this. I just think the Niners got very unlucky again with injuries, and I maybe we'll be surprised Kyle Shanahan has a way of just elevating the next guy up, but that's very hard to overcome, like 2 Pro Bowl starters being out.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel bad for them to an extent, but at the same time, this is every year. Every year you have your major pieces. George Kittle.
I forgot
So
about. I
surprisingly,
forgot that George Kittle was out too. Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't really play football anymore. Basically, I usually have Christian McCaffrey. This time, now you have Fred Warner. It's getting to a point where maybe you need to start looking at shopping these guys out. Um, and potentially getting a new one. Get blow up the team a little bit because I mean, if your team is constantly injury prone, you will constantly come up short. It's just a fact. So, while I don't wish this on anybody, it might be smart to maybe start getting rid of them so you don't have to go through this all the time. As good as they are, and knowing that they're good, regardless of injuries and stuff like that, you can still get a good deal from them for whoever you trade to. So there are ways to flip this, but I mean they're sitting at 4-2. That's gonna drop really fast with no players on your team. Um, so we'll see how they go. Kyle Shanahan's a smart guy, um, but it's not looking good for them.
But yeah, so for our next game, we're
Your favorite team.
getting the Packers and Bengals.
This was another expected showing.
Just another expected showing. I mean, surprisingly, the Bengals, if they had just gotten their offense going earlier, which the same thing happened the week before with the Lions, like surprisingly, the Bengals defense held in. And again, I do think that the Packers are kind of pretenders right now, just with how Jordan Love. I feel like every game. I mean, even in the first game against the Lions, he did throw a pick. It got called back. It was a pick six with Brian Branch, but it got called back. Um, he does remind me. I know there's like the Brett Favre comparison, and I wouldn't go as far to say his ceiling is as high as Brett Favre, but definitely his like, I'm gonna just throw this ball up there and just see where it goes. And I feel like every game you just see the most egregious interception from Jordan Love, and like with the Browns, that can just completely break the back of their team. So, but Matthew Golden, their first round rookie, he had a good, I would say potentially breakout game, 86 yards. I was listening to someone kind of commentate it, and it seems like he had some very important like third down catches. So, it's not that the Packers are bad. I just don't think they're as good as people think they are. It would have been hilarious if Joe Flacco had beaten the Packers again, but didn't happen. But I don't have much else to say. Just not a surprising game, but
yeah, it's really like this game they got carried by Josh Jacobs. He had 2 touchdowns. Jordan Love, like you said, he's really just chucking the ball. I mean, he's not a bad player, but he's not very cautious with the ball when he should be. I think this is just an ego inflated team. They are pretenders. You're sitting at 3-1-1. You can only beat good teams, and you tied with the Cowboys. That's really as much as I need to say about them. The Bengals finally upgraded a quarterback, and in his first game with them, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. Even though you didn't really do anything until the third quarter. Still, I mean, they ended up locking in the second half. So there's a chance that these guys can start picking it up and give at least a decent plate back to Joe Burrow when he comes back.
yeah.
But just them allowing Joe Flacco to do what he did is just a testament to how kind of mid this Green Bay Packers defense is. So I'm not bought in.
Micah Parsons came in to be the game breaker, and he hasn't. Like he's not. I don't think he's leading their team in sacks. I mean, he might be getting pressures, but like, why else are you going to give up 2 first round picks? You don't give up 2 first round picks unless you have a guy who's going to come in and do at least half a sack per game, if not 1 or 2.
So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how they go in. But right now, Green Bay's super disappointing. I'm not really moved by their record or by what they're doing. So they'll probably fall off soon.
But for our Sunday night game,
your favorite game of the week?
My favorite. I mean, I wasn't really mad about this. I don't really have a rant today. I'm not gonna be the guy who's like, oh, the refs, bailed out the Chiefs. We all know that the refs are biased, and I do think that there is. I don't know if you saw it, but there was this one Travis Kelce catch where very clearly didn't have control of the ball, and they didn't review it, and they, they didn't give Campbell enough time to even challenge it. So it's like, yeah, there was definitely some very shady officiating, but I think the Lions could have still won if Amon-Ra hadn't had that 4th down drop where targets Yeah, he missed two passes or two catches, and I think the other one was like skied over him, and so truly one of the most reliable receivers in the league just kind of dropped the game. Literally, that I think that game ended there. I don't know if you also saw the Sam Laporta touchdown. That was crazy. That was one of the
Yeah, I
craziest
did.
touchdowns I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, my man is skilled.
Yeah, so our team is fine. We are injured, but every team's injured, and this is to Lions fans who are worried about the injuries. Like, just think about this. There's a difference between having a player out for a few weeks or even going on IR as long as it's not season ending and having a season ending injury like Aiden Hutchinson breaking his leg.
Yeah,
There's a big difference between that because even if they come back for the final 4 games of the season, that's a run of 4 games that can get you to winning the division or getting into the playoffs. So I promise we don't have to worry about injuries yet. We have Ali McNeil coming back next week. Aiden Hutchinson continues getting at least like 1 sack a week. Um, Al Quadin Muhammad and Aiden Hutchinson both have, I think they're both in the top 10 for sacks. And additionally, I don't know if you saw this, but Zadarius Smith retired in the middle of the season, and everyone was saying we needed to sign him. So that was pretty funny.
that's a good win, I guess, for not paying him because I mean he was playing well and then he just kind of left the Eagles. Just in
Like
general.
he just left, yeah.
Yeah, I watched a bit of this game. This was I think it was really just kind of you were missing Amon-Ra St. Brown even though he was on the field. Um, it was just weird for him not to get like for most of the game he had like no yards. Like either the Chiefs were their game plan was just completely counteracting him, or maybe you guys are trying to be sneaky and just feed the team in a different way. Well, either way, the biggest like there was no turnovers. Um, y'all didn't do really well on on fourth down. Both of the teams didn't do well on third down. One of the things that we do have to look at is the Chiefs through an entire game of football had no penalties for no yards.
And that will completely like that will make you lose a game if your other team plays clean and they don't lose yards on penalties. And that's what I was trying to say is like they played a clean game, but again, if the Travis Kelsey catch had been ruled back and there was like a phantom pass interference thing, if those two had also not happened, we're talking about a different game. But we're also talking about a different game if the Jared Goff receiving touchdown and the Amon Ra drop were
Oh
also
yeah,
different plays. So it's like I guess what I'm saying is you can nitpick anything, and obviously the refs is more easy to nitpick because that's they're not even playing the game.
I don't I will say that touchdown was kind of crazy. They called that back. Um, it's just weird. I don't want to say that the NFL is rating stuff for the Chiefs, but it was a study out of UTEP saying that the Chiefs have been disproportionately getting penalty yardage in a positive manner in the past couple of years, which is kind of weird to see. So there's got to be an accountability on the NFL there. You just got to chill out with just giving the Chiefs whatever, um, or at least tell the refs. You really got to be nitpicking. Um, I'm sure like the Chiefs aren't like they're not perfect. I don't think nobody's rigging nothing, but I do think that the Chiefs are bigger complainers, especially to the refs. They're kind of like the people that you'd see on those cop videos where they're like, I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't need my ID. And then the cop would just be like, you're right. And then he'd like walk away. And that's kind of what it feels like. I wouldn't say it could just be, a fault that the refs don't want to deal with them just nagging their ear all the time. Whatever it may be. But something's got to change. It does feel like they're not, officiating the Chiefs the same way they officiate everybody else. Who knows? Maybe it's playing in Kansas City that just does that to you because it's not like your team played bad. You just didn't. It was just It was just a yardage thing.
Yeah, I mean you watched a good part of the game. Like Goff played very well. Jameer Gibbs was doing also like everything was clicking on our team. We just got outplayed. And I do feel like we have to bring up the Brian Branch fight, which I
Oh
mean
yeah.
I again I think we've talked about this. I don't like fights in terms of like the concept of like, hey, don't do that. But I also do think it's fun. Like that's why I like watching hockey is when they fight each other. So I mean, he needs to be a better sport about that, and he deserves to get suspended because that kind of was out of nowhere. But Juju Smith-Schuster was also kind of being annoying from what I was hearing. So
Yeah, it's
I'd
one
be
of those
frustrated
things.
too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You'd be frustrated, especially because you're not getting penalized. But there's no way, and it's not like there's just no way a team goes through a game and never commits any penalties. That just does not happen. You can watch the film. I promise you there are holds. I promise you there's some sort of PI. I promise you there's some, offsides, defensive encroachment, whatever.
But yeah,
Something that the refs miss, and it's very frustrating to go through a full game and it just feels like the other team is not held accountable for the mistakes that they make.
and the
And
other
you
one
see,
is under like a microscope, exactly, because there was, and this one I did agree with, but like there's the whole Patrick Mahomes phantom like roughing the passer calls, and Aiden Hutchinson like I think it was a full second or two after Mahomes threw the ball, Aiden Hutchinson like trucked Patrick Mahomes and he got knocked over. And like I do agree that one was probably a good call, but it's the same thing of like even if he had been there a second earlier, he could have still gotten penalized. And at that point, it's like you're not going to slow down because you see him about to throw the ball. That's when you speed up because it's like, oh, I need to like give him more pressure, or because people forget that football is like literally a game of inches or smaller. And if you get Patrick Mahomes to throw that ball half a second earlier, it could be off by 2 inches and just go through the fingers of a receiver. So I just think that, again, like we're talking, it is, there does need to be something to be, there does need some, there needs to be something done about the officiating in this league for sure.
that yeah, refs, and it's not even just against the Chiefs. Refs in general need to be held accountable to a higher standard. There has to be some type of change in that because sometimes it just feels like when the refs get a little embarrassed or shamed, they just lash out and they just start calling shit. But yeah, talking about these penalties is a great segue into this next game.
Your
Between
favorite, your
my
favorite
favorite game
game,
of the week,
yeah.
the Atlanta Falcons versus the Buffalo Bills. One of the things I want to talk about this game, the refs were not really good. I wouldn't say they're bad either. I feel like there are Bills fans who hate the one catch that was called back, um, even though it wasn't a catch. But I mean, 6 penalties on Atlanta, 8 penalties on the Bills, and some of them just weren't deserved. There was a missed hip drop tackle on on the Bills, as in like we the Falcons did the tackle. I saw it immediately, but they just don't call that. So it's just very interesting to see. We need the refs to kind of step it up a little bit, even though being realistic, it wouldn't have mattered. This game was all Atlanta. You don't hear that very often, especially against a team like Buffalo, where it is all Atlanta on the back of my Lord and Savior Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, that was a, he played really well. Well, 200 yards plus from scrimmage.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is that 81-yard touchdown he had was not even his best play of the day. He had this like 25-yard rush, or it might have been a screen, I don't know, but he made 5 people miss. 5 people touched him
Damn.
with a good tackle position, and still fell on the ground as he gained more yards. That's so insane. And then it's just he played phenomenally. Drake London, 10 receptions, 158 and a touchdown. He played phenomenally as well. He should have had 2 touchdowns, but he stepped out right at the end. It would have been nuts if he got that. Yeah, I was very happy. The defense was playing um super well. We have the best we have the best defense in the league right now, which I don't really I didn't really believe that at first, but I mean we gave 4 sacks and 2 picks, so maybe I have to believe it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of this game and I haven't seen Josh Allen like shut down like that ever. Honestly, 4 sacks on him is hard to get, plus 2 interceptions. Like the reigning MVP, you held him to just 180 yards. Like that secondary is lethal. The D line was playing well, and Michael Penix, he played well too. he might not have been the reason you won the game, but he sure as hell didn't sell. So
Yeah,
that's
which is like he also had something. You mentioned is he had like 4 or 5 different plays where, I mean, he's pelting the ball into double coverage, and it's nailing Buffalo hands, and then it falls on the ground. He had some really turnover worthy plays that he just completely lucked out into. Um, so Michael Penix needs to be smarter over the middle. Seems like he just is like he's trying to force a lot of passes over the middle. It doesn't help that we're missing like pretty much every wide receiver behind Drake London. If you guys look at the receiving stat line for Atlanta, it's really just like London, Robinson, Pitts, Algier, and then Casey Washington. I know nobody knows who Casey Washington is. It's because, I mean, he was like a 7th round pick for us a couple years ago, and we're missing Darnell Mooney. Ray McLeod was a healthy scratch. We don't know why he was out, but we actually have like low key a receiver problem. So you might see us dip our toes into the receiver market. But fortunately for us, we have Bijan Robinson, so it doesn't really matter. The Bills also were reluctant to use James Cook, second week in a row where he's watched his team lose. And they also have a receiver problem. Khalil Shakir, as much as I do like that guy, he is not a wide receiver one. Joshua Palmer is not a wide receiver one. You also miss Dalton Kincaid. If your team's offense shuts down because you're missing your tight end one, even though you have Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox, sorry, who is a tight end one as well. I don't know what to say about that. I think it was just also a poorly called game, and the Buffalo defense got exposed for being bad at run defense and zone coverages. So this was really an all Atlanta game.
that one catch that Drake London made where he almost went all the way to the end zone again. That kind of irritated me when they called it back because that was a crazy play.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that he stepped out at the end. I would have loved for him to have that touchdown. I promise you, I was going nuts. But it is what it is. We still won at the end.
How does it feel to be above 500?
It was great. I love being above 500. I hope it lasts. I hope we don't dip under this year. Um, we don't have like a tough schedule ahead, but we do have a schedule where we could lose a couple, at the very least. So we'll see how we play for the rest of the year. But if we play like we did today or Monday, sorry, oh, we're gonna be hard to beat.
But on to the last game of the week, the other Monday night game. I was kind of mad about this one because I really wanted the Bears to lose because it would have been funny. But um, I saw there's like this whole Troy Aikman like controversy where he was like roasting Caleb Williams for being bad, and I don't exactly remember what the reasoning was, but I also, now that I'm looking, they've won their last 2 games by 1 point. So yeah, so they're good. I'll give them that, but it's funny to see Caleb Williams like every game. It seems their first drive or two they're playing really well, and then it all completely falls apart. He's not on track to break 4,000 yards, I think, this year either. So
I don't think the Bears are gonna have a 4,000 yard passer ever. It's just the Bears. They're cursed not to have it. Um, this was, for all intents and purposes, a pretty stinker game. 25-24 does not show how ugly the game was. Unfortunately, I was watching the last couple bits of it after the Falcons game, and I wasn't really moved. I mean, you have the Luke McCaffrey 33 yard touchdown, and then you have the DeAndre Swift 55-yard touchdown. But outside of those two picks, it's pretty boring. Kind of back and forth. Only Washington committed 3 turnovers, so um, I don't know. I don't really feel good about the Commanders. They have a really old defense, and the offense is really young as well. And you're missing Terry McLaurin too, so I don't know how they're really moving. The Bears are the Bears. I don't like the Bears.
yeah,
They have talent and wide receivers, but they don't pass well. So they're just kind of, these two teams are both kind of like question marks. And they actually might be like middle of the pack for the league right now. Um, so we'll see what goes on. Good for Ben Johnson to take the Bears, in his first year, make them positive. So them finding ways to win games is a testament to what he can do. But at this rate, the defense that they've invested millions and millions and millions of dollars into is not playing the best. Even though I know the Washington had 3 turnovers, but it just doesn't seem like it seems like it's more over turnovers are coming from mistakes of other teams than the defense themselves. So the Bears are just kind of barren.
Yeah, I mean, again, still a good week, a lot of good games, but you know, it's hard to kind of feel out who is actually gaining momentum because teams that seem to have a lot of momentum will suddenly just lose by 20, and then a team that seems dead in the water will come in and win by 20. So it is really just difficult to know as of right now who's good. But that moves us into our next section. Normally we would go into doing our kind of a breakdown, our little teaching segment, but we're going to take a bye week this week and just kind of take a moment of silence for my Michigan State Spartans who lost to probably like the worst team in the country by a blowout.
UCLA.
It was like the worst thing I've ever seen. RIP Jonathan Smith, he's probably going to get fired. Anyways,
he didn't. I didn't even. I thought he already got fired. That is
no.
tough.
People are saying we need to hold on to him, but anyways, we're gonna go into our prediction segment. I think I did okay last week.
Yeah, I think I was positive as well. There was obviously some games like the Eagles game that was just kind of like nobody could have predicted that. But in general, I think you and I probably were on the same win-loss.
But yeah, so to go just jump right in for Thursday night game, we have the Steelers at the Bengals, which from what I was seeing is the oldest battle of quarterbacks ever. So we love that. It's like the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think I pretty handedly would pick the Steelers here. They're just more solid, especially without Joe Burrow. I don't think that this Bengals team has a lot going for it, but it is an AFC North, matchup, so anything could happen. I'd be a little bit surprised if the Bengals won, but if it's a close game, a slugfest where you win by a field goal or less, either way, I kind of expect that to be how it goes.
Yeah, basically kind of the same stuff here. I'm not the biggest fan of Zach Taylor. He's just kind of mid. I don't really know what he does well. I would be kind of surprised as well if the Bengals won. It'd take a miracle, really. The Steelers have just proven that they're like at least a decent team, and the Bengals have proven that they're not. So if they can do what they were doing in the last half of the game, the Bengals were playing, there's a chance, but well, probably not. Well, I mean, hey, we'll see. I'm gonna go Steelers here. For this next game, for another stinker. This is the New England Patriots versus the Tennessee Titans.
Any game.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing as the Steelers and Bengals, where the Patriots have shown that they can win games. Titans have shown that they can only lose games. So this is a pretty easy New England for me, and it probably might be a blowout.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of those cases where it's completely New England's game to lose. If they have a meltdown like the Cardinals did, then you basically have to hand it to Tennessee if they want to win. But I will say this is also the first game of whoever the interim head coach is, and there is a phenomena of like the coach everyone hates gets fired. They suddenly have they have fire again, and they have a surprisingly good game. I don't think it's going to be enough to overcome the Patriots, but I think it could be better than we think. But I also agree with Michael. I don't think it's going to be very close. Next game, Raiders Chiefs. Another no-brainer. The Raiders are a bottom 5 team right now. I think the Chiefs blow them out, especially in Arrowhead, especially after the momentum of beating the Lions last week. I think the Chiefs are going to get back. I know they're at 500 now, but I think they'll get above 500. kind of get momentum going on their side.
Yeah. This is. I just don't like the Chiefs are good at creating turnovers. In the same breath, the the Raiders are good at giving away turnovers. So it'll probably be like a turnover battle, and the Chiefs are playing really well offensively right now. So it's probably a pretty handed Chiefs win here. Um, I would be very surprised if the Raiders win this one. They have to play pretty perfectly to do so. But it's a divisional game, so Patrick Mahomes always owns the Raiders. You don't often see him lose to a team like that. I'm gonna go good old Mahomey here. Um, this next game is another very interesting stinker. You have the Cleveland Browns versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm inclined to go Cleveland just because of the defense and the fact that they can easily create turnovers against Miami.
Captain CTE.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see another like 3 pick game from Tua, or at least like them giving up like 5 sacks. I don't really this is gonna if the Browns win, it's gonna be off their defense. If they lose, it's gonna be because the offense sucks. So really real possibilities either way. It's probably a 50-50 game, but they're at home, and then the Cleveland Browns defense is actually playing pretty well. So I'm gonna go Cleveland for this one.
Yeah, I agree with Michael on this one. I think that Dylan Gabriel is better than Tua at this point. He hasn't like made terrible plays. It's just though for his first 2 starts were against some of the best defenses in the league. The one thing Miami doesn't have is a good defense. So hopefully this is a game for Gabriel to kind of settle in and hopefully notch a second win for the Browns and maybe stop their slide from going 1-6, and maybe they can be 2-5. And I don't expect them to be good, but I think the only way for Kevin Stefanski to at least keep his job is to probably win 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
At a minimum. So yeah, I think Cleveland will probably win this one by a touchdown. A good game, which will be Colts Chargers. I'm actually gonna go with the Colts here. I just think the Chargers are very injured. Jonathan Taylor's going off. Daniel Jones is playing efficiently. Daniel Jones is like the least sacked starting quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah, they're playing really well.
He has time to throw. They have weapons everywhere. With Justin Herbert being a very good quarterback, I think any given Sunday, Chargers could very handily win this one. It is at home, but my gut just tells me that the Colts pull this one off.
Yeah, understandable. I am surprised. I'm actually going to go Chargers here. They have a new uniform, bright yellow. I'm not that I'm the biggest fan, but the Chargers actually usually play pretty well in their alternate uniforms. And they need a kind of statement win against a big team here. They're pretty injured in the running back game. So I mean, and they're a run heavy team, so they just have to pass a bit more, which they're entirely capable of doing with Justin Herbert. So I can see this going either way. But like I'm usually inclined to, I am going to go with the home team. Plus, I like when other teams wear alternate uniforms. I think usually that teams play better in alternate uniforms because you got that kind of you have a different ambiance to you. So for that reason, I'm going to go Los Angeles. Yeah, this next game we're moving on to the AFC versus the NFC. This is our London game. This is actually a game I might wake up for. Well, I'll already be awake, but
wake up like it's not at 9:30. It's not like you have to get up at 6, brother.
Yeah, I know, but like, weekends are for sleeping in, bro.
I know. I'm just saying.
But ironically, I am. I'll be up when this game starts. It's just whether or not I turn it on or not. This is gonna be the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Los Angeles Rams. 2 decent teams. But this might be just a straight up experience game. Which is why I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Rams. They need to bounce back and show what they're truly capable of. Unlike what they did last week against the Ravens, especially an injured Ravens team, they need to show we can come out and we can dog a team that's been playing really well, and I think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I actually am probably going to go with the Jags here, just to keep it interesting. I think, to me, it seemed like last week, even though they lost, they're starting to click, and I do think that Seattle's defense is a lot better than the Rams is. Um, Especially with them, letting Derrick Henry run for almost 150 yards on them. If they can play a clean game, and again, I kind of feel like internationally the worst team wins. I don't know what it is about that, but at least they do. It's usually very close. So I think the Jags will actually pull this one off. For the Panthers versus Jets, this is kind of another just any game the Jets are playing is probably not going to be fun, even if they do end up getting their first win. I do think that the Panthers will win this one, especially because they have momentum right now. The Jets are dead in the water. I think they dropped to 0-7.
This is a pretty easy Carolina victory, even though you're away. Carolina defense is playing really well. I wouldn't say their offense is playing insane, but it's not like the Jets have anybody that can really stop it. I would love for them to lose to the 0-6 Jets. I don't really see it happening, but if the Panthers are going to Panther, this would be the game they do it in. I would love to see Bryce Young throw like 3 picks just so the Panthers fans would shut the hell up about them thinking he's the GOAT. You start talking like, hey, your team sucks, then they start throwing 30-0, and we're like, shut up, bro. I just need to see their downfall, though unfortunately I don't think it's going to happen, so I'm going to go Carolina here. This next game after that is the Denver Broncos versus the New York Giants. The Giants are coming off a mini bye from playing on Thursday. Nothing matters. This is a real test for the Giants against a decent defense, especially one that comes after the quarterback. So they're probably going to have to lean into Cam Scatterboo a lot, and I think they're just really good at stopping the run as well. So that front seven is like pretty much everything that counteracts what New York does, unless they trade for a wide receiver. I heard that they've been really active about Chris Olave from the Saints, so we'll see what they do there. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to go Denver.
Yeah, I am actually, again, I'm going to be picking the opposite here. I think the Giants have momentum, and I mean, Denver played a real shitter against the Jets, and the Jets are not good. Again, I don't trust the Giants at all. But to be fair, I also don't trust the Broncos right now. And I do think that the Giants are kind of a sneaky good team. And if we can just get another good game out of Scatterboo, and Dart can just keep playing consistently, I think that they'll be able to kind of grind the game down to a slugfest and make it a competition of who can make the least mistakes. And I do feel like Bo Nix is mistake prone, at least this season. For the next game, we have the Texans at Seattle. I think Seattle is going to destroy the Texans, especially with how anemic the Texans offense was. I really don't see the Texans having a good game unless somehow they can fix all of their O-line issues, but the Seahawks are just the better team, I think, in every part of the game.
Yeah, dude, I'm not very confident in the offense of the Texans. They're just like, you can only score 26 against the Titans. I understand you shut them out, but that also means you probably started a good field position for most of the game. It just kind of shows how weird your offense is, and with Seattle playing as good as they have, I feel like it's just a clear Seattle victory here. Even though the Texans are coming off of a bye, so it'll be closer probably than we think, but JSN is just playing godly, and they just don't have a defense that can stop a team with a passing attack like that. Moving into the NFC games here, we have Sunday night, or not Sunday night, sorry. The Sunday game, which is just Minnesota versus Philly. Minnesota's coming off of a bye. Philly's coming off of a mini bye from playing on Thursday. JJ McCarthy might come back. This would be a crazy game for him to come back too. But I do see the Eagles trying to bounce back after an embarrassing showout. They've had an extra couple days to sit and think on it. The defense of Philly, it plays pretty well typically. So I can see some fire being lit in them, trying to enact what they think they usually should be doing. So I'm gonna go Eagles here.
Yeah, I'm again going to be picking the opposite. I think the Eagles are starting to teeter on the edge, and I don't really see them making a lot of changes. And I do still think it's very possible that the Eagles win this game, but I just think that they're going up against a very confusing defense that's well rested. Jalen Hurts has been getting sacked. I think I saw he got sacked 18 times already this season. And what one thing Brian Flores is really good is generating pressure and getting sacks. So I think that I don't trust JJ McCarthy to win this game, but I do think that Kevin O'Connell is a better coach than Nick Sirianni, and especially at home, coming off a bye week, playing against a team that kind of looks just lifeless in the water. I think the Vikings will get the upset victory here and notch another win. Yeah, for the next game is Saints at the Bears. A real shitter. I want the Saints to win this one because again, it'd be hilarious if they lose to Spencer Rattler, but I don't really see that happening unless something something goes wrong for the Bears, which is very possible. But I can't pick against the Bears right now against a team like the Saints.
Yeah, it seems like the one thing that the Bears can do is that the Bears can win against bad teams. Um, and I see that happening here, especially at home. They did beat the Commanders, so I can see some momentum moving on. I hate the Saints. They might trade Chris Olave. If they trade Chris Olave, their offense is going to become mid. Um, so it's just I can easily see Bears win. So that's what I'm going to take. Um, this next game is I don't even know how really to choose this game. This is going to be the Arizona Cardinals versus the Green Bay Packers. I don't think it really matters what quarterback plays for Arizona. I think it's going to be the same sort of situation regardless. This really depends on what defense shows up for Green Bay. If it's the defense that's been showing up all year, I can easily see this falling to the Cardinals, especially since they're home. If the defense on paper shows up for Green Bay, it's going to be a wipe. If Jordan Love can take care of the ball pretty well, which I don't think Arizona is that good at forcing quarterbacks to turn the ball over, that might be a recipe for disaster for them. And for those reasons, I think they are going to be able to do that since Arizona's not really the scariest team right now, especially with injuries. I'm going to go Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm also going with Green Bay. Same reasoning as Michael had. I just don't think Arizona is a consistent enough team to win against a solid team like Green Bay. For the next one, Washington versus Dallas. I do think Washington wins this one, especially just with the Dallas defense. I don't think they're gonna be able to keep up with a dual threat like Jane Daniels. I know that Terry McLaurin is out. I don't know when he's coming back. I haven't looked, but I do think that unless Dak is able to keep up against a very superior Washington defense. I don't think Washington's defense is great, but compared to Dallas's, it is. I don't see a world where Dallas is able to win.
I would say because I'm pretty sure the Washington Commanders have the oldest average defense um, in the league right now. So with the offense like Dallas, even though you have CeeDee Lamb out, I can easily see them just tiring out these old folk, um, and dropping a ton. So it's on. It's going to be another kind of like offensive shootout game. I don't think the Commanders really have the facilities to keep up offensively consistently, even though the Dallas defense is really abysmal. Um, so it'll probably be a lot of self-inflicted wounds on the Commander side rather than Dallas, forcing turnovers. Um, but Dallas isn't stupid, sort of, and I could easily see them, taking advantage of the opponent's mistakes. So I'm actually going to go Dallas for this one, for those reasons. There's the good
Yeah,
old.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they won for sure.
Moving on. This is the Sunday night game. For sure. This is going to be San Francisco 49ers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Um, like we talked about earlier, Fred Warner's injured, and that's a huge piece. The offense isn't at full capacity. It doesn't really matter what quarterback we see. The offensive line is going to have to stop our pass rush. regardless. We're blitzing a lot, but we're disguising the blitzes at an extremely good rate. We are away though, so it's going to be probably a close game. I can easily see this being an ugly game, though we do typically have pretty good luck against San Francisco. But for the reasons that the defense is injured, especially our offense coming off such a big game against a team like the Bills, which are kind of the Bills and the Niners defenses are kind of in the same boat. So we can do what we wanted to do last week against them. We can easily win this one. If we shoot ourselves in the foot like we did against Carolina, we're obviously going to get wiped. But for the reason of the injuries, especially to Fred Warner, I actually am going to go back-to-back against decent teams, take Atlanta. I'm trying to be objective, but
I mean, I agree with you here. I think Atlanta wins this one. I think that the Bills game is very big for momentum, and I do think that's kind of a statement win, especially with kind of the really bad game you guys had against Carolina earlier. I just think, especially with San Francisco being so injured, you guys are going to come in, and I could see Bijan just torching the Niners. And then for the last game of the week, we have, and this is another potential like NFC Championship game matchup, but we have the Buccaneers at the Lions. I know every single week I've picked the Lions, and that is not going to end today. But I have a reason. Dan Campbell has not lost 2 games in a row in over 2 seasons. And I just think that they're going to come back. I know that like most of the Buccaneers offensive line is injured. All of their starting receivers are injured. And I know we have injured cornerbacks, but we might be getting at least our cornerback 2 back. I don't know. To me, I feel like this is going to be a bounce back game. We're going to be wearing the all black uniforms. It'll probably be close. Again, Tampa's a good team. The last time we played them, they beat us, but I do think the Lions win this one.
Yeah, I'm actually going Lions as well. I I guess you can also call this bias against the Buccaneers. Maybe I'm just rooting on their downfall. But they have a lot of the Bucs do. They have a lot of injuries to wide receivers. Mbuka is not playing. Chris Godwin is not playing. Mike Evans is still questionable. Assuming all 3 of those wide receivers do not play, your wide receiver room is looking like Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson, and then whatever other no names you have on the roster. Not good. You also don't have Bucky Irving. You're still rocking Rashid White. Baker Mayfield, without his full team there, is kind of like Tom Brady. He just finds ways to win. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys lose this game, just because Baker is just playing at an MVP level right now. But for all intents and purposes and all logic pointing towards it, this should be a Lions win, especially being in Detroit. And you guys just need to have a statement win against a good NFC team, especially after getting routed by the Chiefs. So, I'm hoping the Lions win this one. And I'm really rooting for y'all too. So please win. But that's pretty much it for our predictions for the week. We'll go ahead and we'll give you a little rundown on how our fantasy's gone this week, and then we'll let you off the hook for the week. I'll just throw this in here. Bijan Robinson is still my Lord and Savior. I have him in my fantasy week. I'm playing against the best team in the league coming into last week, and I had to emergency sign a wide receiver to my squad because Quentin Johnston was downgraded to out. And I had to throw in Stephon Diggs, who only got me 6 points. But the rest of my team actually clutched up. For a while, I had the Patriots defense playing against the Saints. For a while, they had like no points. I think they had 3 points for most of the game. And then all of a sudden, they started getting stats and ended up getting up to 9 points. Eddie Pinheiro got me 17. My kicker. Tucker Kraft gave me 12. AJ Brown actually scored more than 10
I have
points.
Tucker Kraft too.
Yeah, thank God he finally fucking scored. He's just he hasn't been doing much since the beginning of the year, and now he's finally doing stuff again. Same thing with AJ Brown. So those two actually putting up points really helped. But the two that I want to focus on is Bijan Robinson with 35.8 my Lord and Savior, and then Jackson Smith and Jigba with a 30-point 20 game. I had 30 points on my roster. I had no bad starts, even though Javonte Williams had 8 points, but I had no running back that scored more. So I'm really happy with how that league turned out. It'd be kind of crazy if I lost and I had 2 players score 30.
Yeah, well, for me on my for mine in one of my leagues, I actually put up, I think it was 100 and wait, I gotta open schedule because I don't remember. I put up 180 points. And I felt bad for my teammate or opponent because they did like 145, and as you know, that usually is enough to win, but not this time. So I had Daniel Jones with 22 and a half, Saquon with 9, Scadaboo with 31, Brian Thomas with 23, Lad McConkey with 23, Dallas Goedert with 26, Jameson Williams with 19, Steelers with 11, Steelers defense with 11, and Cameron Dicker with 17. And then in my other league, I actually won in all 3 of my leagues this week, but the other one I wanted to highlight was winning with Bijan on my team. He had almost 36 points, which was fantastic. So
Lord
I had a very
Savior.
good week. Yeah, Lord and Savior. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for us this week. If you're still with us, please drop a like and subscribe. We will be back next week and we'll have something to teach you.
Yeah. So make sure y'all come to class prepared. Get your pens and paper out whenever you sit down. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys agree with our takes. Like we always say, let us know if you have anything that you want us to cover, or if you think we're saying something stupid,
If Michael's an idiot, let us know.
or if Ben's an idiot, especially let us
No,
know.
I don't.
Because,
They're not gonna think that. So
we'll see, man. But thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your week.
have a good rest of your week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.